My name is Carrie Smith, and this is my lesson plan video. The first part of the lesson plan is learning objectives, and I'm going to start with the Common Core State Standards. My Common Core State Standard is CCSS ELA Literacy RH 6-8.3, and it states that to identify key steps in a text description of a process related to history, social studies. An example is how a bill becomes law, how interest rates are raised or lowered. The next thing you see is my state standard from the old way, and it's C4.6.1. And it says, compare and contrast the three branches of government at the state and national levels of government: executive, legislative, and judicial. The second part of learning objectives is, what are your objectives for student learning for this lesson? And students will be able to identify and understand the three branches of government and their differences. Students will be able to compare and contrast the three branches of government. I have chosen this objective because it is a state standard. I have chosen this objective because it is very important for a student to know and understand the three branches of government and their functions. And being able to identify, compare, and contrast will help them not only in social studies, but will also help them in future history classes, literacy, math, and science. The second part of the lesson plan is student grouping, and how will I group my students for this instruction? First, I will do whole group discussion, and we will talk about what the students are going to do for the assignment or the activity. Then I'll divide each group into 4 students, depending on how many students I have in a class. I will give the students time to research and find information on the 3 branches of government. They'll either use textbooks, resources I give them, just different types of materials to figure out what the 3 branches of government are and their function. After the students have gotten their information, we will come back together as a whole group and discuss the 3 branches of government as a class. In this part, I will kind of lecture them and let them know what the key facts that they need to know about the 3 branches of government so that they can identify them and compare and contrast them for their individual assessment, which is the last part. I have chosen this type of method of grouping because it allows both class discussion and student discussion. This method allows for students to discuss their ideas with one another. There may be something that I can explain to a student, but one of their peers can and they'll understand it better. And I feel that them being able to work together in a group and them explain it to each other will kind of make it a little easier for them to understand. And then when we come back to whole group discussion, I'll allow for them to ask questions, and then we'll talk about some stuff that they may or may not have found or even understood. And then the last thing that we'll do is the independent activity, which will allow me to assess them to make sure that they did understand how to compare and contrast the 3 branches of government, and to make sure that they understood what it is and how to do it. Part 3, methods, instructional strategies, and they're not the same as activities. I have chosen lecture and discussion, small group discussion, and individual assessment. At the beginning of this lesson, we will discuss what the students need to do and answer any questions that the students may have before we get started. The next part of the lesson will get in small groups of 4 and the students will discuss what they think the 3 branches of government are and how they can research that and find the answers to any of their questions. The students will use their textbooks and other resources so they can discuss what the 3 branches of government are. And before I evaluate each individual student, we'll come back to a whole group discussion and make sure that everyone understands what the 3 branches of government are, both state and national. I have chosen this method or these methods for teaching because it gives the students an opportunity to research the 3 branches of government with textbooks, materials I've given them, internet, however we want to do it. And it gives them an opportunity to provide their ideas to each other and to me before we get started on the assignment. And we're going to work in small groups so that the students have a chance to hear one another, and maybe one student understands something that another student don't, and they can work together to explain it and just kind of understand things at their level, and then we can come back as a whole group and discuss it as a class.